you check the children? Your little master.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
And Jaime Fuego here.
And we are here to discuss the first two episodes of Wednesday. No.
Yes.
No. We're here to discuss the
My
first
most
two episodes.
anticipated
Yeah,
show of the
absolutely.
year.
It's not bad, honestly. I have watched the first two episodes.
I
And I'm
haven't.
enjoying it thus far. But we're here to talk about Alien Earth, you guys. The first two episodes dropped just yesterday at 5 p.m. Pack stand time.
Yops.
Right? That's what the kiddies say, right?
So-
Pack stand.
Yeah, I think Pac Sun, but nobody wears that stuff anymore, so, you know, whatever.
So, guys, this is the first TV treatment of the Alien franchise that we've gotten. Fuego, how many episodes is this anticipated to be? Is it 8?
Gosh, I'm trying to remember if it's 8 or 10, but I know it's somewhere in that range.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got the first two episodes, and we've been doing reactions to the trailers on the channel. I've been trying to do them, like, immediately, so unfortunately we haven't had a lot of plus ones in the Alien Earth trailer reactions. So, I haven't gotten a ton of your thoughts leading into it, so before we dive into what we thought, what were your expectations going into Alien Earth? Expectations, hopes, dreams, anything along those lines?
Well, I mean, as you know, the whole Alien series and then the tying in with Predator and Prometheus, it's my favorite horror series. I mean, I've got 2 of the long boxes of all of the comics. I'm not quite caught up on the Marvel stuff yet.
I've got
with
all that.
With that particular
Covering
run,
all
but
that
I have,
on the
Yeah,
Horror
but I
Show
have
Cecil TikTok.
all the Dark Horse, every single one-shot, limited series tie-in over the years, and they've done such great
Technically, you've
stuff,
got
man.
bigger Alien and Predator comic balls than me.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, the one thing that I will say is that based on the track record of Noah, I forget his last
Noah Hawley.
name. No, Hawley, yeah. So he was behind, I mean, the Legion show. He was behind some True Detective. I mean, he's very well esteemed in the world of television. And so for that reason, with him tackling my favorite property, I would say that I had the burden of expectation at least a little bit. And I thought the teasers looked super rad. Once I saw like some full trailers discussing the fact that we were going to see other species besides xenomorphs, that piqued my interest even more so. The whole synth exploration, I mean, they've done it, you know, obviously with, you know, David and whatnot in the Covenant and Prometheus stuff. So
And the upcoming Predator Badlands.
Yep, exactly. And I'm all for that further solidifying the tie-in between the two, because those who have read the comics know about it, but a lot of the film people are like, oh man, they're finally like solidifying it in that avenue. So that's cool. So yeah, I did go in with, you know, high hopes for this. Do you want me to give like thoughts thus far, or are we just gonna,
go ahead. Yeah, roll
Yeah.
into so as you guys know, we do our overall thoughts, then we do the story, acting, and effects. And quite honestly, with TV shows, it's
So it
tough
has
not
be
to
a little bit
spoiler.
different. Yeah.
Tough not to spoiler.
Yeah.
You know,
At least
we'll
we're
try
not
and
gonna
not spoil like big deaths or anything like that,
Yeah.
but we have to be able to talk about the things that happen in these episodes.
Truly.
So we will keep this first episode light on
And
spoilers.
also, some of the stuff that happens in, especially the first episode, is shown and alluded to in the trailer.
Yeah.
you know?
So we'll
a ship that crashes.
Yeah, we'll try and keep it light in this first episode, but going forward, just expect us to talk about what happened in the episodes full out.
So are we thinking we're going to
going
do these
forward
individually? Then
I would like
Maybe?
to.
Yeah. I know.
You know, even if we have
they
to
would
do it
probably
remotely.
trend.
Yeah, honestly, I would like to, because we love this franchise enough.
I adore this
for sure.
franchise, man.
So, yeah.
That's why I went in really hoping I was going to like this a lot. And especially with FX money behind it and everything, high production values, presumably, of which I felt like there were in the first episode and a little lesser in the second episode, perhaps. But overall, this is a real mixed
which
bag
is typical for TV shows.
It is. Yeah, you have
The
to put
premieres and the
put your
finales.
best foot forward.
Premieres
you know,
and finales,
yeah.
and if long enough, mid-season premiere and finales.
Yeah.
But we don't get TV shows that are that long anymore, where they have mid-season finales anymore.
Yeah.
So it's you got to have a strong premiere and a strong finale.
Yeah.
That's where most of your budget goes for TV now.
Yeah, and they showed. I know they showed at least the first episode. I don't know if it was the first 2 episodes that they showed in theaters.
It was
that
just the first.
It was
from what
just
I
the first.
understand,
Okay, yeah, and I was trying. It was a fan-only screening that I was trying to get access to. Didn't end up working out, unfortunately. That's how stoked I was about this. I'm like, I'll go wait 2 hours, but they didn't even give me the follow-up email with
You didn't
any
even get the
further.
nod.
No,
Like,
yeah,
you can
exactly.
wait.
I was pissed. Yeah, so it starts relatively strong, I would say, but just like I had kind of mixed feelings about about even Romulus. As much as I did really like Romulus, that was a little bit of a mixed bag for me too. I feel like this is even a step down from that. This felt pretty television to me, at least as we went into the second episode. Started very strong, man. I mean, overall impressions, when they gave like the little text blip about, you know, the difference between us, there's cyborgs, there's synths, and then there's these new things called hybrids. I was like, okay, I'm into this. And then we meet up with the crew of the vessel that is the inciting incident for shit.
Wait, there's cyborgs and synths? Cyborgs was separate from synths?
At the very beginning, they gave that little ticker that said cyborgs are humans that are enhanced with, you know, like that sort of mechanical stuff. Synths obviously are full on,
fake, and then hybrids
are where they take the
mixed
consciousness and they put it into a synth body, which is like where I feel like the heart of this show, as far as like the deeper, more philosophical things it's trying to discuss, are in just the advancement of artificial intelligence and how that's a big thing that's happening in our world right now. And so I feel like that's where the show has a lot more to say as far as in-depth, like, you know, discourse and whatnot. I feel like a lot of the alien stuff, similar to what, you know, when I was a little more critical of Romulus, was where it's just really trying to play to the hits and just trying to I mean, we have colonial marine.
Are we still in your overall thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay. They're extended overall thoughts.
Extended overall thoughts. Okay. Well, what I will say as far as overall thoughts, mixed bag. But my biggest, I guess, gripe about what they've been doing, not just with Romulus, but even more so with this, is I feel like my favorite movie of all time, Aliens, the significance of that Weyland-Yutani mission is being significantly diminished with the obvious revelation that they have had little trouble obtaining specimens of xenomorphs for quite a while now. And so the more we get stuff like Earth and Romulus where they were able to obtain these, it just, for me personally, it just, like, the significance of that mission with Burke and how desperate they were to obtain, you know, to bring Marines and do all this stuff and go back to the home planet. It just seems, at least
they didn't
for me,
have what they had in Romulus and here, which is advanced synths. Like, Andy wasn't advanced in Romulus until he was, right? He got the
Romulus
bump up.
takes place after this, though.
Right, I'm saying like there are, you know, those are different synths than the one that were helping the Marines in Aliens. So I don't bump up against it because the mission in Aliens is still the mission. Like, to me, the mission in Aliens is how the bulk of xenomorph retrieval missions goes. Like, there's very few that are actually that successful, and the reason those are successful is because they have the specialized synths in order to help. That's the way I'm writing it off. I'm trying to give a Marvel no prize to myself here.
I suppose.
You know, trying to fill in the blanks myself.
I politely disagree, but that's just me. So, but yeah.
I mean, I guess, like, I here's the thing. Movies that come out now don't diminish movies that came before in my eyes.
It doesn't diminish the movie. It diminishes the lore of the entire franchise for me as a whole.
That's a fair complaint. Okay.
That's more so what I was alluding to. And because it's still my favorite movie of all time. Nothing's going to take it away. You know?
But that's fair. Okay, fair enough. So
overall
my
thoughts,
overall thoughts. Okay. My overall thoughts are, I enjoyed it. I do have issues with pieces here and there, but I like what it's trying to do for the most part. There are pieces here and there that I'm not the biggest fan of, that I hope either win me over or are abandoned were there to be a season 2, which I believe, based on the amount of coverage that I've seen for these first 2 episodes, that there's gonna be viewership enough for them to justify a second season. Which to me is like, fuck yeah, you know? Again, there's a lot of shows where the first season is just kind of okay, and then everyone is like,
stick with it,
you know, yeah. Well, I mean, there's enough viewership where the studio's like, FX is like, okay, well, let's bump up their budget a bit, give them a little bit more room to breathe, and now we know, like, let's give them. Wednesday got 3 years to make 8 episodes. You know, like, if they give Alien Earth proper time to do it, and, like, wouldn't it be cool if they start talking to Dan Trachtenberg, you know, and maybe they can weave it into the upcoming Alien and Predator shit.
I'm sure he would love to do that because, he's been hinting at how he wants to make another Versus movie and how he has ideas and whatnot.
So I guess I'm more forgiving of the missteps that I'm witnessing in this first season because I know I can clearly see the possibilities. I can see the potential of this show. But overall, I'm having a good time with it. So I'll dive into more of what I don't like as we go along. But
same,
that's my overall thoughts. So
yeah, and also another thing that's just kind of grinding on me a little bit, is the fact that I feel like every one of the Alien films, even the lesser ones like Covenant and Resurrection, at least for me, had like an essence of sophistication that I feel like this is lacking a little bit of, but maybe that's just me.
This isn't any
In the
more or
second-
less sophisticated than Alien Resurrection.
Okay, but that's
Or
why I
Alien
said even
3.
even
Alien
the less
3 is
ones.
not that sophisticated.
Three has grown on me over the years.
But is it
actually.
sophisticated? You
I
use
feel
the
like-
word sophisticated.
Yeah. I mean,
How is it
I
more
still-
sophisticated than this? This is dealing with mind transfer into
I'm thinking more
synths
so
and stuff like that.
I'm thinking more so a lot of the framing and some of the acting.
Okay.
And,
So
from that-
filmmaking wise, it's more sophisticated. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
those are. That's
They're
David
feature-
Fincher.
yeah, they're feature films
that's
versus-
David
yeah.
Fincher. And
Yeah.
feature film versus television.
Well, and also
But-
just some of the we'll get into
But
it.
fair. Well, that was one of the things that you said. I don't think you've actually said it here. You said it to me beforehand. That this feels like a TV show to you.
It does. Yeah.
So, while I understand that, I can also see how there's a whole generation, maybe 2 generations of people that won't have that complaint, that are going to be like, "This is just awesome, more Alien stuff," because there is no we're probably amongst the last generations that really know about the delineation between film versus TV and that back and forth where stars wouldn't even deign to go to TV, back in the day.
Yeah.
And then your Sopranos happen and your
Yeah.
Breaking Bad happen, and suddenly everyone's like, "Oh shit, TV is where it's at." And
because the
and
lines
then
have been blurred a lot.
The lines have
in
been
the
blurred
last,
a lot
10
recently.
10 to 15 years for sure.
So I feel like there's a lot of the generations that are watching now aren't going to have that complaint.
Maybe
and
not.
they might feel like that complaint rings a little hollow. That's not to say it's not a valid complaint, or that it's a complaint at all. It's just an observation, truly, because it is a TV show.
It is,
If
and
it
it's
feels like a
also
TV show,
different
that's fine.
style of
I
writing,
feel like
of
it
drawing
feels.
things out
It doesn't
and-
feel any less of. It doesn't feel any more of a TV show in the quotations than Battlestar Galactica did.
which I never watched, but
It was fantastic.
Which is one of the most celebrated science fiction
Absolutely.
shows
So
ever,
this is up there with Battlestar Galactica as far as effects go and everything.
Yeah.
So I while I understand your complaint,
It's not the
I
budgetary
don't
quality. It's like
to
some
me,
of
I
the
don't look
writing
at it
and
as a
acting.
complaint. I look at it for what it is.
Yeah.
Again, you got to judge it for what it is, not for what it's not. You can't complain that that it looks like a
Because
TV
it is
show
an
when it's a
apples
TV
to
show.
oranges comparison
Yeah.
in that regard. You're
Yeah,
right
yeah.
in that regard.
But even on TV standards, you have to admit it's pretty high end. You know what I mean?
From a production standpoint, for sure.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
So let's dive into the story, right? And it's good. It's a good back and forth because there's going to be some mixture in the audience too, right? I imagine. So because I've seen mostly good reviews based on thumbnails.
No, I still
and then
give
I
it,
saw
like, if I
but
was
Adam
gonna
Does
Cisco
Movies
and
put up
Ebert it,
his.
Yeah, I would give
Adam
it a
Does
thumbs
Movies,
up,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's more so like kind of a like
Adam Does Movies says
gradually
it's
thumbs
a
up.
thumbs down though. So
Yeah.
I know there's those people that are out there. So we'll get into it, but the story is essentially it's about this this planet Earth that has a Weyland-Yutani research vessel crash lands into Earth, as you see in the trailer.
But an area of the world that is not so. That is one of my favorite things about the storytelling in this is like the lore of how Earth was controlled by different corporations depending on the part of the world. And so North America, South America, they had some, they disguised some exposition very amusingly early in the movie on the ship where they're like, yeah, he doesn't know his geography, and so they all start breaking it down about, Weyland-Yutani controls North America, South America, and then this other company controls this and that. And so Prodigy, a part of the world that is not controlled by Weyland-Yutani, is where this ship crashes, right?
Yeah, exactly. One of the big high rises of it, no less. Like what looks to be the downtown square of this city, and Prodigy is run by this basically this quote unquote boy genius, right?
Trillionaire,
But he's the
trillionaire
one.
ever.
He's the one that's spearheading the effort of transferring consciousness of real people, i.e.
Hybrids.
dying
Yeah.
children
Yeah.
into
bodies.
synth bodies.
Yeah.
So hate him as much as you want as like a bratty bitch. But
He's playing it well.
He's no more of a bratty bitch than every other corporate CEO out there. He's just more outward about it. But he's literally saving, quote unquote, saving, dying kids that would otherwise have no future at all.
True.
And so there, his method, like, I'm
There's
sure
a two birds, one stone thing. Because,
but that's the thing. Like, it makes him a bit more of a complicated character because he's doing altruistic things for likely non-altruistic, reasons.
Yeah, perhaps selfish reasons as well. But for the
probably
advancement
more
of
than
the-
perhaps. But
most definitely. And also he
but-
has that scene where he's talking about, I just want to talk to somebody.
But that's nice that they're giving him that layers. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, he gives a bit Jesse Eisenberg, Lex Luthor energy.
Yeah, I felt that.
He's not. I'm not bumping into him yet. He's not coming off as super abrasive yet or anything like that. Maybe he will, but he's playing his part well. And so, essentially, there's a group of a search and rescue response team that is on Earth. Paid for by Prodigy, that immediately responds to the crash and goes to try and search and rescue anyone that is dying or injured inside the wreck in order to try and help them. As they enter the ship, they start to run afoul of these 5 different species that we are informed about at the beginning. Like, the beginning is this whole sequence that takes place on this research vessel.
One of my absolute favorite parts of the entire episode, because it recreated the original Alien film just perfectly.
Well, it recreates the vibe of it. Yeah, it's not literally recreating the scene, but it felt so
as
much.
Far as the environment
honestly,
of the
what
ship,
it felt like
the camaraderie of everybody.
Is if the Nostromo had 2 crews that were like just separated by a giant wall, it feels like this breakfast scene would have been taking place literally on the other side of the wall from the breakfast scene in the Nostromo. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's that close in
down
feeling.
to like Yang or whatever, the synth who's creepy and watching the woman in cryo.
He was more Bishop than Ash. Because Ash was a little bit less fly on the wall. Bishop is a little bit more,
But then also Monaco, the guy who is like the cyborg on board, with the arm and everything, and yet he's obviously like kind of security detail, with the way he kind of very much
so
takes
he is
control
human.
of it.
Like, I was confused about that.
He's a cyborg, so
he's a human just with the augmented arm.
Yeah.
That's why the Xeno was
still
sometimes interested in him.
Yeah.
Like that's where it gets a little weird. Like, it rips through soldiers, but then it like contemplates going after him and like tortures him a little bit.
It's
so there's
not
a
you're
bit
not
of a
just meat. There's something off about you.
So, well, that's the thing. Was that on purpose, or is that just kind of lazy writing? You know
I'm
what I mean?
not 100%, but yeah, there is some lazy writing in this, in my estimation, and some just odd choices, dude. And since we're still on storytelling,
that's the long and short of the story without spoiling stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So ship crashes, specimens on there.
The specimens have gotten loose.
Specimens get loose. There are some colonial marine type search and rescue people
and
on
we
there.
only see 3 of the specimens in this first 2 episodes.
And then also, so there is a so Neverland is the island where these children are, and this is where I did not like the writing decision, personally, at least. This is where
it's not spoilery. It's a theme they're trying to make.
So Neverland is where these kids have their consciousness, these hybrids as they call them. The consciousness of these kids are being put into these adult synth bodies. And so they're still
You got to be careful when you're talking about a place called Neverland where kids are being put in adult bodies.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, boy. No, Mr. Jefferson, no! Oh, boy. Anywho,
that's a bad connection to make.
But it's pretty freaking funny. So anyway, So you have this contingent of lost boys. Like, they play it all up. Even our lead character, she is our lead character. So the girl with cancer that we meet early on, who has this kind of interesting relationship with Timothy Oliphant as a synth, she is the first that we see put into one of these adult bodies, and of course they name her Wendy, and she even looks kind of like Wendy, or she thinks the body that she's going into looks like Wendy. And so, yeah, they bring on other children. They become the Lost Boys, so to speak. So Wendy is leading the Lost Boys. And so that is kind of the crux of what happens at the end of the first episode going
Just
into the
a really
second.
forced, ham-handed Peter Pan analogy.
Yeah, and they really just hammer it
Like,
home,
they're literally
man.
showing the Peter
Showing
Pan
the Disney movie. Yeah, the
'cause
Disney cartoon. Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah. Truth. I didn't even make that connection
Yeah,
initially.
because like that's how
Yeah.
they're able to get away with it. They cleared Peter Pan,
and
literally.
boy, did they! It's almost gratuitous in the
It
amount
is, and it's
of-
like, I don't.
yeah.
Okay, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Are we gonna get a Captain Hook?
It makes me
Like,
wonder
what-
if that
like-
was like we have notes. Well, Captain Hook would be like Rise or Kurz or whatever Oliphant's character is, right? Would he be kind of like the Captain Hook sort of
I
character?
mean,
Maybe.
I guess.
I don't know. And but so yeah,
Is
they
the
go.
alien the crocodile? Like, what are we talking
Yeah,
about?
kind of, I guess.
Is there a ticking? Like, is there going to be a ticking?
Ticking clock?
Jesus.
Yeah. But
Well, that's
so-
the funny thing because Wednesday does literally have someone with a ticking clock heart. So
That's funny. Yeah, but so Wendy decides, because of the fact that her brother is a medic that is with the search and rescue team, that she wants to bring the Lost Boys to go assist. And you know, the boy genius is averse to it at first, but then he's like, you know what, this will actually be good to kind of study.
Wendy
you know.
convinces him.
Yeah. Wendy convinces him, and then he succeeds, and it's just like, okay, you know, we can study how your intellect has
Concedes.
advanced.
He doesn't see. He doesn't secede.
No,
He
he
doesn't
concedes,
separate
he says, yeah,
himself.
I know.
from her. I just
Derp,
love. I was
derp,
just picturing.
derp, yeah.
I'm
Any
seceding.
screw,
I'm
any
no
screw.
longer part of this company.
Yeah,
I'm my own
yeah,
nation.
But he, when Boy Genius also realizes that Yutani mother is very adamant about getting what is on this ship back, because he's like, oh, finders keepers, sorry,
Right. Well, yeah. So
crashed on our
Waylon
spot.
Yutani calls, and they're like, you know, they're doing the political, you know, the
Back and
polite political
forth.
back and forth, where
Yeah.
she's like, look, we'd really love to send a team to come and help, you know, with recovery. And he's just like, no, my team's got it. And she's like, I'm afraid I must insist. And then he's just like, oh, and he flips around, and he's just like a petulant little fucking
He like
teen
puts
girl.
it up on his feet.
Yeah,
instead of
he's
the
like
screen
laying
his
on the
feet,
bed,
yeah.
kicking his feet up behind him, basically. And he's like, you know, well, here's the thing.
Very much showing
if
his
you
age.
do
Yeah.
this, you know, without our approval, that's basically a declaration of war between us. You know, is essentially the vibe.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's this corporate tension, which it's we're only in episode 2, and it's starting to simmer. So.
Yeah.
I do like
That
what we're
stuff,
gonna
I
like.
like the intrigue
you
behind
know,
it.
Waylon Yutani's going to send a team, and they're just going to get slaughtered. Like they're just going to send cannon fodder.
I feel like Wayland would be a little more understanding of what they're up against, though.
Maybe.
You know, because they know about the type of
Well, yeah,
specimens that were
well,
being collected, right?
Well, do
So-
they? I mean, that's part of the research. The point is, they're trying
Yeah.
to learn about these things.
Yeah, well,
If
I
it's
mean, the
first time-
research
clearly,
team-
it's not the first time they've captured Xenos, but
Yeah.
it could be the first time they've captured all these other things.
Well, Romulus takes place after this, though. You know,
Oh, is that,
so
did they really
this-
say that?
Yep.
But
Yep. They,
wait,
they,
so
I
Alien
actually
1
went-
is before this?
Yes, I went through the timeline last night, dude. So Alien takes place in 2122. This takes place in 2130. Romulus is 2142, and then Aliens is 2179.
so this is
so
8
way,
years,
way
8 years
later.
after Alien, 12,
And 12 years before Romulus.
Romulus.
Yeah,
So the Nostromo and the original
is
Alien
presumably
still out there.
floating up there.
So why the fuck does this
That's why
alien look
I-
so different than the other Xenos?
And
Like, that's
we'll,
what's
we'll,
bothering
we'll get
me.
to it in the maybe
Yeah.
based on who it came out of or whatever, but also it shows that
What
for
it
all
came
of
out of,
yeah,
yeah.
and also the fact that, you know, if they kind of like, how much did they know that they were up against? I guess not too well if specimens escaped and everything, right?
Well, that's
So-
the thing. Wouldn't that be?
Because
Well,
they
we
didn't
don't
show
know
how they escaped. Maybe we'll get flashbacks at
presume
some
that the
time, or-
original Alien is the first time Waylon Yutani has encountered the Xeno, but we don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, we don't know for sure because there is still that big gap. Because to
that's
consult my
8
notes real
years,
quick,
yeah.
so Covenant was 2104. So Covenant was still like 18 years even before the first Alien film. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
this
so,
is how the timelines all.
Wait, was Waylon Yutani in Covenant too?
I think?
Oh
it was
yeah,
just,
that was literally
yeah.
Wayland.
I think they were still split apart, right? So Wayland, it
Yeah,
was before
Wayland was
they
separate.
merged
Yeah,
together.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, to control the entire world.
Jesus,
yeah.
this lore.
Oh yeah, it's,
right.
it's deep stuff, dude. But
Refocus.
Yeah,
Here we go.
exactly. But I mean, the one other thing about the writing that made it feel not as alien to me, I guess, is at least as far as like traditional with the series and just a little weird. Like, there's these segues into stuff about baseball and like flashbacks with these family members and stuff. It just kind of didn't feel
Well,
like it
no,
fit
it's
in
trying to fill in
that
Wendy's
particular
story,
character
yeah.
with her brother and everything.
Right.
But I mean, watching stuff about Mr. October and everything, it took me
They're just
out of it.
I
I
feel like what they're
man.
trying to do. It's funny. It took you out of it. I feel like that's what they're trying to use to ground it in our
And that it is
reality.
on Earth,
Like,
like this is aliens taking place.
Like yeah.
on
Remember
Earth.
Mr. October
Terrorizing
the
a sky.
The
I always
thing is,
think
talking about
basketball,
Mr.
dude.
October is
I
going
think
to appeal
basketball.
to 50 and 60-year-olds.
Yeah.
Like I
who are the
barely
ones
know
who
Mr.
remember the
October
original?
is.
Well, I
Yeah.
think of basketball.
Well, okay, I don't like. I actually learned about him in school and stuff, but like I don't feel
Reggie.
like that's
Reggie.
yeah.
Reggie.
So anyway,
But that is a good point for counter to mine is the fact that that solidifies that this is taking place on Earth.
Right.
It's not in space, so there
Right,
would be
they're trying
recollections
to
of actual
anchor it.
things on Earth.
because it doesn't
Yeah.
look like our Earth. The
Well,
buildings
yeah,
don't look
based
like
on,
our
Well,
Earth.
yeah, because it's it's 100 years from now. So yeah.
Is our Earth going to look like that in 100 fucking years? No.
Well, we'll never
There's
know.
no way.
We'll never know.
That's true. I just learned about
Yeah.
a movie that they filmed in 2011 that they're not, or 2015. They're not releasing until 2115. They filmed it like it's called 100 Years and it stars John Malkovich and like they're not releasing it until 2115.
Oh.
And they filmed it in
might not
2015.
even- Earth might not even
I
be
know.
here, man.
The best laid plans.
Yeah, right.
Hollywood.
Oh, well.
It's just I imagine Hollywood as a giant 8-year-old going
Yeah,
like
that's
making its own time
that
capsule.
is the cart before the frickin' horse, man. Like
Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway.
Hey, that means
Yeah.
the whole future is going to know who Malkovich is. So good
Yeah.
for him. If it happens. So, all right. God damn, I'm so
we
ADHD right now.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk about the acting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And we'll get to the other stuff as we go along. So, acting wise, I'm okay with most of it, but there are gaps here and there. I like the actress playing Wendy,
I do
but
too.
Wendy, the adult, acts way less kid-like than
all
all
the
the
other
other synths that are kid-brained. Like,
I'm
it
assuming
doesn't.
that's because she was the first and she's had time to go through that. Because they said that
Oh,
they
that's
put
true.
like the super
Yeah,
computer whatever
they
in
said
her
they
brain.
basically
and-
limited it so that you do eventually become like you grow into your adult mind, so to speak.
So since she's the farthest along of all of them.
But it's
so-
not that much like farther
Well, I mean,
along.
we don't know how
like
much
a couple
time
of
would-
days.
Really?
Well, that's
I mean,
what it seemed like to me, especially when they did. By the way, I
They
did
did the
I did
jump
enjoy
thing.
the montage where the camera just moved around the room where they were putting kids'
I like
heads
that
into
bit
bodies.
too. Yeah, yeah.
And it was just like every
and
time
you saw
the camera
Lost,
moved,
the
it revealed a
troop
new
of the Lost Boys
a new
growing.
adult. Yeah.
And also, what a crazy thing to like just look at your dead body like that. I
True.
mean, that's a crazy,
well, but that
crazy
kind of
conceit,
goes
right?
to so I suppose I should say that's a win in the cinematography column where they're using the
Oh, yeah.
cinematography to help tell the story.
Yeah.
Not a lot of things take the time to do that. They're just literally putting cameras up. So a lot of people treat cameras like windows, and they're just putting different windows in for you to watch everything happen.
Yeah.
And then there's people that use the camera to actually help tell the story. This is one of those times.
Yeah.
So I do like that. And but jumping
And
back
that was
to
in the
acting,
first episode, yeah.
yeah, I feel like there's inconsistencies but that's more in how they were directed. Really,
Yeah.
that's not the acting. Like Wendy's being directed to be the way that she is,
Yeah.
and the other kids are being directed to be way more young seeming. So,
Mm-hmm.
or I guess they're a little bit age various,
It
right?
might
So
even go back into the script.
Maybe the younger
too,
kids
you know?
are acting younger as adults than the other ones are.
Yeah, because there were like a range of ages
Right,
amongst
right.
them. So
But anyway, overall, I'm digging the acting. I'm not outside of the choices that the director has had them make. I'm not bumping into the acting.
yeah, I was so looking forward to Timothy Olyphant in this, and
Fantastic.
Fantastic, man. I've like all the way back to Go, and I mean so many other
Deadwood
things.
is my jam.
Deadwood, yeah, where he was playing it more straight. I mean The Girl Next Door, or even more recently. So, I mean Santa Clarita Diet.
We
which
get
I
it.
love.
You know his filmography.
Yeah,
All right.
I do. But the funny thing is, I feel like between the pilot and then the second episode, he was leaning in the second episode a little more into the way I'm used to seeing him act, as opposed to a little more stiff and synthy in the first episode.
I disagree.
Because in the second one, he was getting more annoyed with the kids and showing a little more emotion and everything. At least a little bit, in my
I don't know. I
estimation.
disagree.
But
I feel like he was
yeah.
pretty consistent.
You think so?
Yeah, because I wasn't even sure which way he was at first. They weren't Like,
it was unfortunately spoiled to me that he was a synth. You know,
Okay.
it's in the promotional stuff
Okay.
and some of the synopsises. But
I mean, it makes sense if they have white blood, white hair. You know,
Yeah,
that's kind of
yeah.
interesting.
True.
But yeah, I'm not bumping into him. He's playing his part. Like he's definitely more Ash than Bishop.
Yes.
And I'm
True.
cool with that. You
True.
know,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
cool with
same. Yeah.
Um,
I'm not so big on the performance of many of these like Colonial Marine stand-ins. None of them were really doing much for me, unfortunately.
that. Well, they definitely weren't developed anywhere near as
they're
long
more
as
so
they
cannon
were.
fodder. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, the great thing about Cameron's film is even the ones who died relatively quickly, they had a
They had
chance to shine
personalities,
and
yeah,
personality in a
Mhm.
really short span
They
of
were
time.
actual characters.
You know, whereas
These are literally just red shirts.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
they
yeah.
might as well
Yeah,
have red
big
fucking
time.
vests on when they're going
Yeah.
into this.
Now I do really like the cyborg though, Monaco or whatever his
He's
name
good.
was.
He reminds me so much of the dude that's in the Godzilla movies.
Well, he reminded me a lot of the guy from the first film whose name wasn't. Keith.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah, his name is eluding me.
Yeah. He does look a lot like him.
Well, then he kind of has a similar sort of tough vibe to him as well. It's not just the fact he's a brother, you know. I
he
mean,
could very well
you know.
be that guy's brother if it's only 8 years later. Like literally.
Yeah, but cybernetically enhanced,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So, but yeah, and also, I love the way that that he was at least written to like he has a scene where he's like capturing a xenomorph that I thought was pretty badass, dude. Like
That
the
was
way
neat.
they went about
I
it.
actually like the tense scene where he's feeding information back.
Oh
when
yeah,
the
and the
Xeno's
person's
right outside
begging,
the
and I
door.
think that's in
Yeah,
one of
yeah.
the trailers too, right?
Yeah. And then he gets into the little
He's just like, nope.
pod, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, it takes a little welding thing, which they use so much in the second film, and yeah.
So yeah, I mean, acting wise, you know, overall, it's great. Like I'm enjoying it. There's just a few
I would say it's
spots
good,
here and there.
you know. Yeah, there's a weak link here or there, but it's not bad acting. You know,
Right.
I just may not like how some of the characters are written, like some of the kids in the adult synth
Right,
bodies, like the trillionaire boy genius. You know, but
Yeah.
that's how they were written. You know, so what are you going
Exactly.
to do in that regard? So
Right. Can't really blame the actor necessarily. So now cinematography, we already started to touch on it. It
Yeah.
helps tell the story. I loved how everything is made. Like, I get what you're saying that it feels like TV, but it wasn't shot like TV.
It was some of the bits within the ship,
It's
especially
definitely
when they were using the handheld and some of that.
So
bits.
it can feel a little bit set four-walled. Like,
Yeah.
it can feel very set-like because we're there
And the
for
fact
so
that,
long.
and the fact that it crashes into a skyscraper and they're going through different floors of like you know, that's where it felt a little more like we're on smaller little sets and stuff and things of that nature. But the
Understand.
exteriors they shot in Thailand from what I was reading in the credits, and like especially when they're on that Neverland Island and you meet Wendy in her body for the first time and she jumps off the cliff, like gorgeous locales that they had there, you know, like the main island where all of this stuff that Trillionaire Boy Genius is doing as far as his experimentation and whatnot, I thought looked great. And I also like the sheer scope of the rescue efforts from the exterior with all of these extras, you know, running from the wreckage and everything. That was a lot more large scale and epic than we've seen in the Alien universe really ever, because it is often these smaller going into a hive, you know, going into these ships and, you know, crawling through the little crawl spaces, almost like Alien Isolation sort of stuff. You know, it is a claustrophobic nature to a lot of the way Alien is shot. You know, even Alien 3, like we were talking about, you know, then you're on this small prison, you can't escape. Like, so seeing those big, large shots and stuff was, you know, an interesting change of pace for the franchise, I think.
Sound design is really good.
It is, yeah, as it would have to be.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. But I think the last thing we should talk about, because this is already getting super long, is the effects. So I think the effects look great. I did not have any issues with any of the effects. I think the space stuff looks awesome. I thought the crash looked incredible. I think that all of the creatures look awesome and definitely look like they're there. That eyeball creature and its first appearance is fucking gross, but awesome.
Oh yeah. Without
The
spoiling.
only issue that I have, like, there's gore galore. Like,
didn't
there's
really
lots
like
of
there's-
post gore.
It is like the goriest I think we've had since Covenant. Honestly,
Yeah,
as far
and
as
I love
just,
that. Like,
yeah.
I'm a gore hound, so
Yeah. It's almost overkill in
Well,
a
that's-
couple bits for
yeah.
me, you know, like this is the most like ferocious
For those that
Xeno.
think he doesn't interrupt.
The most ferocious xenomorph that it's when I'm really excited about stuff that I, overstep my boundaries, man. But I mean, we talked about this off camera, right? This is like
Yeah.
the most ferocious xenomorph, taking out whole rooms of people.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
In a very CG way, like behind, like there's a
We see the
character
aftermath.
in the foreground, and then like a lot of the craziness is happening via CG in the background. But it does. I didn't bump up against it, but yeah, this is definitely the most ferocious xenomorph we've ever seen because it doesn't just kill people for the most part. It absolutely rips them apart piece by piece,
Shredding.
except for when it's deciding to homage the Thing. Right, because there's at one point, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
So yeah, occasionally the Xeno decides to homage the Thing, but the problem that I have with the Xeno is the same problem. Now, the last trailer reaction I did, I had a real issue with the way the Xeno looked because it's got a distinct lack of slime that the Xenos normally have, and thus the rubber appearance really is amped up. And I feel like, and also like they've done their thing to make it like look unique as a xenomorph, where there's like certain designs and like its neck and like the musculature around that have like weird designs on them and stuff, which I can appreciate you trying to make a unique design. And of course, every xenomorph is obviously dependent on the creature that it is birthed from.
Yep.
So I get that explanation, but it doesn't change the fact that it looks like a fucking plastic suit to me.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
rubber and plastic mixed, but it does not look like a living, breathing Xeno. And at one point, it passes a window, right? And then it's meant to give the impression that it's like backing up in order to look in the window. And I swear to God, they just put the dude on a fucking skateboard or a radio flyer and just pulled him backwards because there is no step motion. It is just sliding back. And like, I'm like, what are we fucking doing? Is he on a radio flyer? Like, aliens step. They're creatures. They move. They
Elijah
like
Wood
step.
would disapprove.
I was like, what? It's so, when you go, if you watched it and you didn't notice, go back and watch the alien walking by the window when the cyborg is in the room sending the messages. And when it does the backup, I swear to God, I was like, what the fuck? They just put it on the camera slider. That's all they did. Like, it was not moving like a living, breathing creature.
Yeah.
So I like, sometimes the only time it looks good is when they're putting it in CG. When it's actually running around and looking ominous.
That's what I was about to say, actually, is the fact that when it's moving around and like chasing, especially the medic in the second episode, I thought some of that stuff was super, super rad.
That's the it's bass backwards. It should be the reverse. The practical should look better.
Where when it's still and you actually get a long look at it,
the practical.
That's when it doesn't look very good.
It's
to
reversed.
Me,
The practical literally looks worse than the CG in this show.
And especially after Fetty did such a kick-ass job with the practical in Romulus, this was it's a disappointment for me, man.
There's no slime. There's drool, but there's no fucking. There's
and
no
not even
wetness.
a ton of it, man. And like and in the first 3 movies, especially when they were still going really practical with just drool and it was nasty. It looked as parasitic as the life cycle of these things actually are. You know,
like the KY budget of the early Alien movies has to be crazy. And this, I feel like they just didn't buy any at all. So
and you're raw dogging it, man.
Like this alien's really just giving it to you rough. All right, so I think that's a good enough place to wrap it up.
The last thing, okay, so and this is good to mention it at the very end, because I don't like how this is doing the very typical, they've been doing it for a long time in these prestige TV shows, you end it with a popular song. I don't like it.
What was the song they ended it?
After the first episode, it was Mob Rules Black Sabbath, which made a little more sense to me because that's from the heavy metal soundtrack. And then after the second episode, it was Tool Stinkfist. And I'm just like,
Tool's very popular.
But it doesn't feel like it fits Alien to me. Alien is like prestige score, and in the second episode, I think you get a little bit of when the Marines or when the search and rescue team are investing, you get a little bit from Alien score, you know? And I was just like, I was like that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio, dude. Yeah, I was like, Yeah, so I mean, as a whole, I feel like from a lore building standpoint, this has a lot of potential in my estimation, because I just love the lore of this franchise so damn much, whether it's comics or novels or films or whatever. But the burden of expectation hit me a little bit with this. So
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
So clearly I liked it a bit more than you, but I'm a little bit more forgiving of the things that bothered you than you are. But that's fine. Like, your criticisms are completely valid. I just like that
It's
we're
cool
getting
we're
more
getting this
Alien on
stuff.
a weekly basis. Yeah. Like, I'll support it so that season 2 can really kick ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So then, do you guys want us to continue doing
Yeah.
episode by episode? I mean, we'll probably end up doing it anyway, but if you, I mean,
It helps
we
if
still
you
want to hear
actually
in the
want us
comments,
to.
you know?
What the hell happened? Has it been this bad the whole time? Jesus. All right. Well,
I
anyway.
just keep looking in the wrong damn camera, so.
Thank you guys very much for watching. Let us know what your thoughts are on the first episode or two of the Alien Earth in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, especially if you've watched all the way up to this point. Thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the channel the way that you do. We greatly appreciate it. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird.
Gracias, Jaime Fuego.
And remember, stay scared.